What's up YouTube, this is Jeremy from Team Bio, and today guys I have a 10 archetypes that need a link monster video. So some of you might have seen recently that I posted on my community tab a poll asking what you guys would rather see as top 10 videos that are a little more in-depth with each of the card that's in subject, or a more general like 50 or 100 or whatever, for example just 50 because that's what I did post, that goes less in depth with each card, but obviously is going to have a higher quantity of cards that I go over. So I posted the poll asking what you guys would rather see, and I got a lot of feedback. A lot of you guys said that you would much rather see just top 10s specifically. I got the idea because I believe it was last week I posted a video of top 10 cards that I think deserve to be an ultimate rare. And then not too long after is John Moore, House of Champs. He posted a video of 50 cards he thought deserved to be an ultimate rare. And I loved the concept and idea of that. I love John Moore's channel. It's a great channel. You guys should definitely go check it out. Not sponsored by him or anything. I haven't even talked to the guy. But I just love his channel. It's great. So you guys should definitely go check it out. And check out his top 50 ultimate rares. I won't link it because I don't know if I'm allowed to. But definitely go check it out. But a lot of you guys did vote for top 10s with more in depth. So that's what I am going to be doing. So we'll just hop into the video. So for the rules of this is... These are all personal opinions, guys. Please don't belittle me just because you disagree with my opinion on it and you didn't like the fact that your link monster or your favorite archetype wasn't on here. Again, it's just personal opinions. I'll be going over how useful the card would be in its own archetype and if the archetype would have an impact on the meta. I did make up effects, link ratings, and arrows for all of these guys. I did not make a name or a stat line. I just felt like that's just too redundant. And then finally, no archetypes that already have a link monster that is either bad or even good. So sorry to Shadal's for the bad link monster and Noble Knights for the super generic broken link monster. So let's hop into it. For the first pick though, I have Teller Knights. I didn't restrict it strictly to Satellar or Constellar. They're both an XYZ based archetype from, I want to say Zexal? I can't remember off the top of my head though. But the link monster is definitely heavily favored towards the Satellar Knight half. For the link itself, it's going to be a link 1 with a downward pointing arrow, any direction, doesn't matter. And the material is going to be one Teller Knight monster. For the possible effect is you can normal summon one Teller Knight monster in addition to your normal summon for the turn, and then you can use Teller Knight monster's effects up to twice per turn. This card cannot be used as a link material. For the pros of this card, it has a lot of consistency and recursion ability within each archetype. Again, specifically Satellar Knights, I had them a lot more in mind than Constellars when I was making this top 10 and making this link monster. And the cons, it could be abused by making a mild hand loop through summoning multiple Trevors every turn. But it's going to be a little difficult. I'll go into that in a little bit more in depth in a second. The viability, I think, could become a tier 2. I don't think it's tier 1. It could be tier 2 to rogue at best, depending on which version, if you go demise version or hand loop version. I just don't see too many regional tops within the deck. So going a little bit more in depth with it, the reason I had it as a link 1 is because Satellars and Constellars are heavily XYZ based. They're every monster in their archetype, or every extra deck monster in their archetype is an XYZ monster. Satellar Knight Trevor being the best of them. I just feel like a link 1 was just the perfect I guess link rating, to say, for them, because I didn't want them to spend too many resources on it to try to make an XYZ again. For the effect is being able to normal summon another Teller Knight in addition to your normal summon. That's just going to help them extend into their link or their XYZ plays after they link summoned already. So it's just going to give them, again, that ability to get into their XYZs. And then using the Teller Knight monster's effects up to twice per turn, this one was kind of tricky for me. The reason I added this is because it makes basically Satellar Knight Deneb a one-card Satellar Knight Trevor. So how it would work if this card did exist is you could normal summon your Deneb, activate her effect to search for your Satellar Knight Altair, and then link summon your Deneb into the Teller Knight link. Then since you have the additional normal summon, you can normal summon the Satellar Knight Altair, activate its effect, targets the Deneb engrave, special summon it. Since you can use Teller Knight monster's effects up to twice per turn, you can activate Deneb's effect again to search. So let's say you can search for your Anunculi, your Vega, or your Alsam, which is one card that I do play. You get to search for that. Then you can overlay your 2 Tellarknight, your Altair and your Deneb into Dark Tellarknight Blasphemy, whatever its name is. Can't think of how to pronounce it because it only requires 2 level 4 Tellarknights. You can then detach a material from it and then discard the card that you just searched off Deneb and then overlay into your Tellarknight Trevor. And that's just off of 1 card. Trevor will only have 2 materials, so it's not bad, but Trevor will then return everything back from the field to the hand. And then this card cannot be used as a Linko material. The reason I didn't say for the materials to summon this card is 1 Tellarknight monster with a different name is because I felt like it would be redundant since it can't be used as a Link material. So I just felt like it made it a happy medium. For one of the cons of being the hand loop, I'm not too worried about being a hand loop. Obviously, it's a 1 card Trevor to take 2 cards out of your. Or no, it would bounce the Link monster back, so you would only be able to take 1 card out of your opponent's hand. But what you could do is you normal summon, or when you do the whole combo to summon your Trevor, you could discard a card, and then you can Link summon it again into the Tellarknight Link monster, and then Trevor's effect will return pretty much 2 Tellarknight monsters back from your your graveyard to the field. You wouldn't get the 3rd search off of Deneb, but you would get the 2nd effect off of the Altair, and then you can pretty much go into your Trevor again. I just don't think you would be able to do like a 3, 4, 5, 4 or 5, 6 card hand rip from Satellar Knights, and with dangers running around, I just don't think it's something too much to be worried about. Anyways, next is X Sabers. X Sabers is a really cool archetype. It's very heavily synchro based. So for the link, it would be a link 2, downward pointing arrows, down, left, down, right. Most link 2 for archetypes should be down, left, down, right, in my opinion. Like if you look like at Zold, Lambda, whatever. 2 downward, Cheerbeanie. The materials would be 2 X Saber monsters. I picked this over like being pretty much generic just because X Sabers are a little easier to spam out. The possible effect is when this card is link summoned, you can discard 1 X Saber monster. That would be the cost. And you can add 1 X Saber monster with a different name from your deck or your graveyard to your hand. When you synchro summon an X Saber monster, you can target 1 tuner monster that was used for that synchro summon cost, special summon it back to the field in defense position, but its effects are negated. You can only use each effect once per turn. So I'll go over that in a second actually. For the pros of this, it would definitely make the deck a lot more viable and be able to synchro spam a lot better in this current format as opposed to relying on something like Mrs. Radiant for the link materials. And it obviously being an X Saber link gives it the boost that it's got in archetype. What's the word I'm looking for? Synergy. The cons, a hand loop would be absolutely inevitable. I don't know if there could be like a 2-card combo to get into a hand loop, but hand loops are going to be inevitable. Everyone's going to be trying to play it as a hand loop version of the deck. The viability, I don't think it would even be tier 2. I think it would just be a rogue. It would just be a worse Goki Gumblar hand rip. So going over the effects, why I chose these effects is being able to discard an X Saber card and searching, or an X Saber monster to search another X Saber monster is because you could search your X Saber Fall Troll. Fall Troll says if you control 2 other X Saber monsters, you can special summon it directly from your hand. And then while it's on the field, you can target 1 X Saber monster in your graveyard and special summon it back. So that definitely helps with synchro climbing. Sadly, it also does help with the fact that you are going to be hand ripping inevitably. And then again, with the other effect where you can target a tuner that was used for that synchro material to summon it back, that's just to help synchro climbing. But then again, inevitably making a hand rip. But I don't think it would be tier 1. I just think it'd be an interesting deck. Next is Yin Zheng. For the Yin Zheng link, I had it as a link 2 downward pointing arrows. Again, doesn't really matter which direction, just as long as they're downward. 2 monsters, including 1 Yin Zheng monster, so they don't both have to be Yin Zheng. The possible effect is when this card is link summoned, you can special summon 1 Yin Zheng monster from your deck in defense position to a zone this card points to. So it kind of locks up like what you synchro summon with, or what you XYZ, or whatever you use. But to a zone this card points to, its effects are negated and it's destroyed during the end phase. This card cannot be used as a link material. I'll go over all of this in a second. The pros, it helps tutor out monsters for synchro summons on your turn. or you can let them die during the end phase and summon a different number or different Yin Zheng with a name on your end. Jeez, guys, I'm sorry. A different Yin Zheng on your end phase to synchro summon on your opponent's turn. The cons would be it's seen as a very dangerous thing to allow summoning cards from your deck. For example, Summon Sorceress, she is banned because she was broken. But special summoning monsters from your deck for free is kind of intimidating. Again, Summon Sorceress like MX Saber Invoker. I think Isolde should be on the ban list, but we'll see. The viability, I still don't think it'd be tier 1 or tier 2. I think it'd just be Rogue at the best, with a few sporadic regional tops, just due to the lack of knowledge of how Yin Zhengs are played. I just don't think they would be that great. I could be wrong. Correct me down in the comments below, but I just don't think it'd be all that great. So why I chose, even for the link materials specifically, is 2 monsters including a Yin Zheng. I don't think it's too easy to get 2 Yin Zheng monsters out on the field, and even then you're using all your resources to commit into a link monster. I think it'd be nice if you could add stuff like, just off the top of my head, like Photon Thrasher, Junk Forward, just any card that says if you have an empty field, you can special summon it, and then you can normal summon your Yin Zheng, link those into the link, and then special summon a Yin Zheng from your deck. I think that would be very beneficial to help the archetype. Summoning from the deck, the reason I had it like this is because, again, it's a synchro summon deck. You want to get your synchro monsters onto the field, you need materials. And since you're committing your materials into the link monster, I think this is what's going to help it. And you could also mix it with like True Kings, whatever, Fire Kings even. So that's why I decided to put that effect in there. And then the other effect where I had it be its effects negated and then destroyed during the end phase is because if you didn't want to use that specific monster or something happened like they no materialed you randomly, you can let it die during the end phase, resolve its effect to special summon a Yin Zheng with a different name from your deck that you can use for the synchro material instead. But yeah, again though, I just don't think it'd be too meta-defying of a archetype. Next is one of my favorite archetypes is Black Wings. I love this archetype so much. And if you guys think about it, this archetype absolutely needs a link monster more than pretty much any archetype in the game. Yes, the Raid Raptor link monster can come out and help this archetype a lot, but I just think Black Wings deserve their own link monster. The fact that they have synchro monsters from level 2 to level 12 is just absolutely absurd. So for this link monster, again, as you all know, link 2, downward pointing arrows anywhere. I had the materials be a little more generic, being 2 winged beast monsters. I'll go over that in a minute. Possible effects for this card is when it's link summoned, you can discard 1 Blackwing monster immediately after this effect resolves. Normal summon 1 Blackwing monster with or without having to tribute summon. So it's basically just a bigger Simoon, but you won't get the effect to search for that, what's its name? Black Whirlwind. The pros would give it a lot more spam potential, making it possible to compete with current meta decks by maybe setting up negations. It just depends on how you build your deck. The cons is the deck is still way too reliant on getting to your Black Whirlwind. I didn't want the card to search Black Whirlwind and have the ability to summon a guy directly from your hand for free. I just feel like that would just be way too broken, so I tried to make it a happy medium. I felt like it was just either one or the other. And then with Simoon, the Black Wing Simoon, being able to activate Black Whirlwind from your deck in the normal summoning, I felt like that was good enough already. The viability, Rogue at best with occasional regional tops playing what I think would be an OTK version, where you just summon some big synchros, search a lot of Kalutes, and then attack, just killing everything in your path. But going over this a little more, the reason I wanted it to be a little more generic with its link materials is of 2 winged beast monsters is because in my current build, I play the Raid Raptor XYZ Force Strix, where you can detach a material. It's 2 winged beast material, 2 level 4 winged beast monsters. Detach a material, you can search for a winged beast monster that's dark. So you can search for like your Zephyros is what a lot of decks are playing. And then you can link that and then one other Black Wing that you might already have on field into this. And then you can normal summon whatever you searched, or normal summon another Black Wing in your hand, whatever. I just didn't want to have that. I just totally blanked it for that Force Strix locked into the extra deck. That's why I had it as a little more generic with its link materials. With the effects though, I want it to be semi-fair again because you have to discard a Blackwing monster to summon a Blackwing with a different name, pretty much of what you discarded. So if you search your Zephyros, like this is a pretty crazy combo actually that I just thought of. You could search your Zephyros with the Raid Raptor XYZ, link the Raid Raptor and another Blackwing into this, discard the Zephyros, and then immediately summon another Blackwing. So you could summon something like your level 2 tuner Blizzard to bring back the Zephyros, synchro into your Nathung. Nathung's effect, you get another normal summon. Just tons and tons of normal summons. But I just still think that without having Black Whirlwind, that this archetype is just not viable enough. Next is Fretfurs and Fluffles. They definitely need Link monsters more than anything, just because of how heavily reliant they are on their extra deck. Their extra deck is pretty much their win condition, killing one turn. They're 100% OTK based, so a Link 2, 2 downward pointing arrows, down left, down right, 2 monsters. Again, I'll go over everything, the reason why I pick everything at the end of it. The possible effect is once per turn you can activate this effect. You fusion summon one monster from your extra deck by shuffling monsters from your field, graveyard, or banished back into your deck. I kept out hand though. You can use this effect once per turn. And this is hard once per turn is my goal behind it. And then I would want this card to be an Edge Imp monster for its name. So this card can be counted as any Edge Imp monster for a fusion material. So I would want it to be an Edge Imp monster basically. For the pros, this would definitely help with the OTK potential, opening up zones for like fusion spamming. The cons is still really does not give this deck a going first play. This deck is still going to be an OTK or bust deck. Viability, casual or local competitive at best. Local competitive meaning like topping your locals, obviously. So going over it, the reason why I picked just 2 monsters as this link material is I didn't mind if you used a token. Scapegoat's obviously not going to be played in this, but if you play the one-time passcode where it just summons a free token, then you can normal summon something like your Fluffle Penguin, do whatever that guy does, link him away, Penguin you draw 2, discard 1. It gives you a little diversity with it. Makes it a lot easier to make this. The possible effect is with the shuffling to summon a fusion monster, that's obviously going to give it a big boost. Not having to rely on drawing like your polymerization, your fright for fusion, and the fact that this card counts itself as an edge up monster for a fusion material, it definitely helps with summoning obviously just any Fluffle monster that you want. I didn't want the shuffling to be a cost because I just felt like that was just going to go bad if you get like Ogred or Veilered, or even if you didn't get Veilered. I just felt, I don't know, I felt like it was just unnecessary to have it as a cost. Let me know down below what you guys think though, Fluffle players. Next, Karakuri's. We all know that they're getting, what is it called? Support in, what is that, Ignition Assault, I believe? Which is not this next set, but this set after, I think. I could be wrong. For the link, a link to 2 downward pointing arrows, any direction. Again, doesn't matter. 2 machine monsters, including a Karakuri monster. Please do not make fun of my typo. I just now caught this after like the 13th time trying to record this video, but 2 machine monsters. Again, I'll go over it in later. Possible effect is when this card is link summoned using a Karakuri Synchro monster as a material, you can target one Synchro monster in your graveyard, cost, special summon that Synchro monster in defense position. And then, just like a continuous effect is Karakuri monsters you control do not have to attack if they don't want to. The pros is would definitely help open up some zones for their Synchro monsters and prevent the drawback of the mandatory effect of attacking with like the main deck monsters, because if you guys don't know, they have to attack if they're in attack position. The cons is it doesn't particularly help with like a quote-unquote win condition of the deck, aside from like OTKing, but I could be wrong. I don't know the deck too well. Viability, I still think it's like a casual to rogue level deck, probably a little bit more towards the casual. So going over why I made it like how I did, 2 machine monsters, including a Karakuri, is I wanted you to be able to incorporate like gold gadget and silver gadget into the archetype. You could like normal summon one of those and use its effect to special summon. I don't know if it has to special summon a level 4. I don't know if it could be a level 4 or lower. I can't remember off the top of my head, but gold gadget, summon a level 4, maybe level 4 or lower Karakuri monster, link into this. Or even if you get into your synchro plays right off the bat, you can synchro link those two into this and then summon the curry monster from your graveyard. And it's in defense position, so you can't attack with it. But curries, I know they have the effect where you can special summon something from your deck when they're synchro summoned. I want to say I can't remember if synchro is specialed, but I just feel like it's a happy medium between being broken and being terrible. So that's what I went with. That's what I went with for their effect. Next is Ancient Gears. They've got really cool big extra deck monsters. So for the link, two monsters, two downward pointing, or a link two with two downward pointing arrows, just two machine monsters, pretty much the same thing for curry. The possible effect is when this card is link summoned, you can discard one card. That's the cost. Special summon one Ancient Gear monster from your deck, ignoring summoning conditions. Your opponent cannot activate any cards or effects during the battle phase, or card effects during the battle phase, sorry. So it's pretty much cards or effects during the battle phase. If this card attacks a defense position, like all other Ancient Gear monsters, inflict piercing damage. The pros of it, it's pretty generic for any machines. Just you throw two machines on the field and you get this guy, and then you discard a card, summon your Ancient Gear. So it's easier than just needing two Ancient Gears specifically. Special summoning from the deck will give it a great consistency boost with getting into those Ancient Gear fusions. And then locking your opponent out of activating all card effects during the battle phase really helps, especially with stuff like Sky Strikers being so dominant. What else? Subterrors with their trap card that you can flip something face up or face down, or activating the Fiendus or the effect to change the attack of them. So I think that would really help out with that. The cons, it still doesn't really help the deck going first. The deck's 100% OTK or bust. You can't really go first and make negations with this deck. And then the viability, it's kind of a casual level. It's casual or local level play. I don't really see too many regional tops. So going over it, two machine monsters, I just want you to be able to get your gold gadget, silver gadget, or any other Ancient Gear. Summon this. If you summon like your Ancient Gear Wyvern or Ancient Gear Skeleton, get the searches off that. Whatever. For the effects, I want you to be able to summon Ancient Gear from your deck. So you're going 3 materials to basically get your Link monster and an Ancient Gear onto the field. So it definitely helps with the fusion summoning aspect of it. No searching for like fusion cards, which I know some people aren't going to like, but I feel like all the other cards in the archetype really help with that, like Ancient Gear Box especially. Not having your opponent activate cards during the battle phase isn't too terrible. It's really good against Sky Strikers, but on the other hand, they also have their Widow Anchor that they can activate during main phase 1 before you enter the battle phase, so it kind of gives it that happy medium of balance. And then piercing damage, obviously all the Ancient Gears have to have that. I just feel like it's a very fair card. It's not broken, it's not bad, it's just playable for the archetype, obviously. Next is Ghost Tricks. It's an archetype that I'm not a fan of at all, but they do need a Link monster in my opinion. I just had bad personal experience with this archetype. So for the Link, it's going to be a Link 2 with 2 downward pointing arrows, any direction, as always. 2 monsters, including 1 Ghost Trick monster. So for the possible effect is you can use face down Ghost Trick monsters as materials for the Link summon of this card. I guess I should have had that in the summoning conditions. It's not really an effect, but so for the summoning conditions, you can use face down Ghost Trick monsters you want. When this card is Link summoned, you can add 1 Ghost Trick card from your deck to your hand. You can only use this effect once per turn. The pros is it searches the entire archetype, the monsters, the spells, the traps, everything. And you can use face down monsters you control. We haven't seen that since that Link 1 Clara and Reshka, whatever that one's name is. It says during main phase 2 you can Link summon with a face down normal summon or set monster. So that's pretty cool. The cons, it still doesn't give the deck a true win condition, aside from Ghost Trick, Angel of Mischief getting 10 materials under it eventually. It's just maybe the deck out version with Ghost Trick Skeleton, but I just don't see too much positivity coming out of this card. Or this archetype, I should say. The viabilities, guys, as you can see, please do not take this to a regional, a YCS. Take it to locals. Play it online just for trolls, fun, giggles. For this card, the Link materials, I want it to be semi-generic, needing only 1 Ghost Trick monster. I didn't say you can't use it itself as its material, because this card's kind of bad. You can only use this effect to search once per turn, anyways. But a Ghost Trick, and then again, like what I said earlier was something like a Photon Thrasher randomly, junk forward, anything that just gives itself to the field. You can special summon that, normal summon, or even set a Ghost Trick, link into this, get its effect, search your Ghost Trick Mansion, your Ghost Trick, whatever the other field spells, your Ghost Trick Traps, your Ghost Trick monsters that like stop battles, all of it. So the archetype's not good, guys. I'm sorry if you love it, but it does need a link monster. Number 9 is Infernoids, another one of my favorite archetypes, and my buddy Jeremy. Shout out to Jeremy. I hope you're watching this, dude. But Infernoids is an archetype I've enjoyed. They're heavily level reliant, so summoning all the main deck monsters is kind of difficult. For the link, I would have it as a link 3. I didn't want it to be a link 2 because I just feel like they'd be too easy to summon for them. It would basically have the Decode Talker arrows, and its materials would be 2 monsters, including 1 Infernoid monster at the minimum. So for the effect is, when this card is link summoned, you can return all banished cards from either player's banish zones to the graveyards. That's definitely going to help, and I'll explain it in a little bit. The second effect is kind of like a continuous effect. All Infernoid monsters you control that have a level become a level 3 or lower. For example, like Decatron is level 1 that can change its level if you want it to. Then they have a level 2 that I cannot remember. I think its name is Atandra. Level 2, you don't have to bump it up to level 3, but they have to be level 3 at the max. This effect cannot be negated, nor is affected by any other card effects, and I'll explain why in a second. The pros is this would give Infernoids a lot more room for spamming out some of their main deck monsters, like Infernoid, Decatron, Deviati, and Tondel. But the cons is it wouldn't really help with the consistency without that Grasslook screener being legal. And if you guys can hear that truck in the background, or it's the bus, it's a school bus, I apologize for that. Yeah, cons, it's not going to be that much greater without that Grasslook screener. Viability, I could see it as potential rogue. I know we've seen a couple regional tops with a Layer of Darkness Infernoid, so maybe it could become that tier 2 level. I just don't think it would hit tier 1 quite yet. Minimal regional tops, unless, again, that Grasslook screener comes back. Going over it, the reason why I had it as a link 3 as opposed to like a link 2 is just I didn't want you throwing any 2 monsters, including an Infernoid monster, get the free link arrows, and then shuffling everything from your banish zone back into the graveyard. I just felt like that'd be way too good, just being able to literally just bring everything back. Infernoids are based around levels. All of the level 5 or higher, I believe. Oh no, I think actually all of them say that. Yeah, it's all of them except for Decatron. They say that you cannot special summon this if you control level 9 or more, pretty much, between all your monsters. They say banish X amount of Infernoids to special summon this card from your hand or graveyard, as long as all the levels of monsters you control are 8 or lower. So the reason I had it become level 3 as opposed to like level 2 is because I didn't want you to be able to split too many big Infernoids out. I know they have the continuous spell that makes them all level 1, so this would pretty much overrule that, making them level 3 at the highest, even if you did activate the continuous spell afterwards, giving them the restriction of pretty much only summoning level 3 Infernoids before hitting level 9. Unless they did summon, again, like Anantra. And then you can still normal summon your Decatron. I just didn't want you to be able to summon all 5 of your Infernoids and then get rid of whatever, what is it called? The continuous spell that makes them all level 1. I just felt like level 3 is just a fair enough. They do get all the battle damage, but you can only summon so many. I don't know. I couldn't really think of a great link monster for this, so I apologize, guys, but they do need a link monster. Finally, artifacts. I know they only have 1 extra deck monster, and they're kind of a weird archetype with how they're played, but I really do think they need what's it called? A link monster, and I'll explain why in a second. So for this one, it would just be a link 2 downward pointing arrows, down, left, down, right, and then 2 monsters except for a token, exactly like Lambda. I didn't want it to be archetype specific, like Lambda isn't, because it's pretty much going to have that same Lambda effect. For its effect, I would have it be when this card is link summoned, you can activate this effect reveal 3 artifact cards. I forgot to add in here with different names. I didn't want you to be able to reveal like 3 Lancias or 3 Scythes or 3, what's it called? Artifact Sanctuary. 3 artifacts with different names. Reveal those to your opponent. Your opponent then randomly adds one of them to your hand. The other 2 get shuffled back into the deck. Once per turn, you can target 1 spell or trap you control. I wanted that to be a quick effect and destroy it. You can only use each effect once per turn. So if you link summon to this again, you won't get that effect of search, and then you can only pop the 1 trapper spell once per turn. The pros, it's generic just like the Psyframe link, and it can help you get into your artifact engine a lot quicker, a lot easier. The cons is it won't be played as its own archetype. It's just going to be played as the engine, just like Psyframe Lambda, and it's going to completely take out Psyframe Lambda from the meta, in my personal opinion. And it's going to create kind of an unfair advantage with some of the artifacts cards, because I know you're going to play at least 3 artifact Sanctums and then artifact Scythe if you do main deck them, but that's going to be the only artifact cards you play. So if you did want to play this in your deck, you are going to have to bump up your artifact ratio to playing at least 3 different artifact monsters in your main deck. Obviously, people are side decking stuff like Artifact Lancia, so when you bring that in, your artifact link's going to be more live, but it's just, I don't know. Viability, I have no doubt in my mind that this would be seeing meta play, not in his own deck or archetype, but again, just generic, completely replace Psyframe Lambda. This will 100% be. This would be an expensive secret rare if they did make this card. I think just absolutely bonkers. So that is actually it for the top 10, or I guess just the 10. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if I missed an archetype that you think needs a link. Please, again, like describe it down in the comments below. The name, if you want to, the effect, the link rating, the stats, just everything. I would love to read all of your guys' fan-made link monsters. And then again, just tell me if you think I missed an archetype that deserves a link monster. I'll try to think of one up, and maybe I'll reply if I can think of one. But I'm not Konami. I can't think of every great card. But again, tell me what you guys think and what you thought of my links. If there was anything I could do to improve them. And yeah. So thank you guys so much for watching the video. Remember to like the video, comment down below, share the video with your friends. Again, tell me what you guys thought of them. I would love to hear your input, your criticism on them. I love reading the criticism. I love hearing your guys' thoughts. So thank you guys so much for watching the video, and I will talk to you guys later. Peace.